Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson, the producer of the show, but he's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Tuesday, October 8th. The Yankees are tied with the Kansas City Royals 1-1 in the American League Division Series. Game 3 tomorrow night, and we're going to talk all about Game 1 and Game 2, what we saw, what happened in those games, break down some of those things, decisions that Boone made and didn't make, and we're going to talk about it all with our guy Joel here. But before I get to anything else, Joel, how you doing?
Well, a little better. I don't even know if you know this or not. I was not at the game last night. I wrote about it from home. I started to feel it Saturday night. I couldn't get out of bed Sunday morning. And Monday, I kind of like left it up to the office. I said, I think I can make it to this game, but I'm not sure I can make it to Kansas City if I make it to this game. So we decided, excuse me, I'm still feeling a little bit, cover the game from home. For me, I got to have something just about Ebola not to go to a playoff game. And so I was really knocked for a loop for about 48 hours. But I'm here in my hotel room in Kansas City. Just got in, wanted to do the show with you guys. So let's do it.
Joel, we appreciate you, man, as always, making some time from us. And for Yankees fans, obviously, there's a lot to talk about and break down in these two games, and one, I got to start with, and this is for first pitch, Game 2 felt a lot more what we've seen from this Yankees team from the last 14 years in the playoffs, where couldn't get timely hitting. If you're not hitting the home run, you're not scoring much on offense. And ultimately, you got shut down by better pitching. And that's what Game 2 felt like compared to Game 1, where, they kind of got some timely hitting. They had to scratch some runs across together. And there was some questionable defensive moments there again, too. But we got a mix of that in Game 1. But Game 2 felt more like the formula that we've seen with previous Yankees teams for early playoff exits. So I got to ask you, Joel, based off what you've seen the first two games, how are you feeling about this Yankee squad from what you've seen so far?
Well, I'd ask this, Ryan. You watched the 18 innings. Tommy watched the 18 innings. I watched the 18 innings. Who's been the better team for these 18 innings?
It's been the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, I think the Yankees got a break on a replay call in Game 1. I think they got somewhat of a break. I know I heard last night from some of the people on interviews when I was watching that they felt like they hit the ball hard and stuff like that. Well, the ball got hit harder against Garrett Cole than anyone else in this series. And there was a way that the Royals could have had about 7 or 8 runs against them, and that didn't happen. So I don't want to hear about that. Essentially, what's happened in 2 games is the Yankees' most gigantic advantage in this series is a financial one. They have stars at a level, or they think they have stars at a level that Kansas City doesn't. Kansas City has a payroll at about 1/3 of what the Yankees have. And so far through 2 games, the Yankees stars really haven't shown up. No Aaron Judge. Garrett Cole didn't pitch well. Carlos Rodon, who's one of the highest paid number 2 starters in the sport, didn't show up. Did a nice WWE thing in the first inning last night. Somehow thought that was called for to blow all his energy there. Like an inexperienced 15-year-old. I can't really understand it. Giancarlo Stanton looks like he's carrying the weight of all playoff failures past on his back while he's running. So to date, and, Soto had a terrific Game 1, but not Game 2. The Yankees aren't going to win a World Series if their best players are, like John Birdie and Anthony Volpe. That's all nice. Their bullpen has been terrific. It has over nine innings of shutout relief. But on the other hand, the fact that they have 9 innings of shutout relief means their starters haven't given them anything. That's their number 1 and 2 starters. So lots of pressure on Clarke Schmidt. In Game 3, Seth Lugo probably pitched the best game against the Yankees this year on September 10th. 7 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts, no walks, 3 hits. And so this feels a little to me like that Cleveland Guardians series a couple of years ago, where it was like the Yankees had a shot in that series to me to be like very early on to say, we're the big boys, we're going to knock you down, and this is going to go quick. And instead, they were fighting for their life in Game 5. And in fact, I think they were down 2-1 and had to win the last 2 games, which would be the situation if Lugo wins tomorrow night. And I think a lot of the weight for this, and I'm sorry to go on, Ryan.
No, you're good.
They had a shot in the first inning each game to kind of
Make a
set the
statement.
tone for, hey man, this is the upper weight classes. You don't belong here. And the biggest at bat in both of those innings belonged to Aaron Judge.
Yep.
And Aaron Judge struck out both times. And again, at this point, the Yankees, we know that they're top heavy. We know that they're homer dependent. And if their greatest player isn't going to perform like a great player in yet another October, it's going to be very, very hard for them to win series, even against the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Joel. I couldn't agree with you more. There's moments here, again, of the timely hitting, and I know you're pointing out Judge there. That's going to be a key focus, I think, for a lot of fans.
They were 2 for 20 with men on base last night.
It's the same situation for this Yankee squad. They get guys on base, and they just cannot get them home, and they're just. I can't even put the ball in play with Aaron Judge at this point right now. And that's what I'm asking for, and he says, if I'm not batting 1,000, I'm never happy. But at the same time, I got to get on base for guys behind me. The guys behind you, I mean, Austin Wells had a very big moment in game one, I thought, which was awesome to see have that big hit. And it was 1 for 31 heading into that point. I mean, that was a big moment for him. But I think the other part that Judge, I think the comment that, I got to get on base for guys. The other part that I care about more, Judge, is you hitting with guys on base in front of you. I think Gleyber Torres has been an unspoken hero for the first 2 games, getting on base and getting on base for the 2 guys behind him, in Soto and Judge. And I think teams are starting to see, Gleyber's going to try and get on base, but then Soto is also like, if they're not going to pitch to me, they're passing the torch over to Judge. And Judge just hasn't come through in the first 2 games. The strikeout percentage is alarming. And that's where I'm just trying to say, put the ball in play, Judge. Don't strike out. At least put the ball in play. So that way you can have the defense make a play and put the onus on them. If you could scratch a run together. It's been very disappointing again for Aaron Judge these first 2 games to watch what he's put together at the at-bats.
Yeah, without kind of like overstating it, this will get put up later. I think my column will be done by then, but I'll let you in on some stuff on Aaron Judge, right? He's had like after the game last night, Aaron Boone did the incredulous Aaron Boone thing when people asked about Judge, and I get it. Boone has his job because he's going to protect players, especially this player, and also he knows, right? Like in April, he was being asked these questions about Judge, like he's struggling, what's going to happen, and Judge ended up being the AL MVP again, almost certainly, right? He's going to be the MVP. The thing is, he had 150 odd games left at that point. This is the short season. And it's also not about 2 games in October. It's about now several Octobers for Judge, where he has had incredible problems with 2 strikes and incredible problems with runners in scoring position. Just to highlight the numbers with 2 strikes, he led them. He was second in the major leagues in OPS this year with 2 strikes. In the postseason, when he gets to 2 strikes, he's 13 for 111 with 69 strikeouts. That's what he was going into the game yesterday. You could add to it, right? Because he struck out in his first at bat, so that's 13 for 112, 70. I mean, he's become an easy out. Like, forget about them intentionally walking him. He's a guy they're going after right now, especially in pressure situations. Is he putting some weight on himself? Like, you don't get to be the great Yankee. These are the rules of the road, right? We know what these are. By the way, the other Aaron, Boone, is only manager of the Yankees because he had a great moment in October, right? If he doesn't hit the home run off of Wakefield, you think he's the manager of the Yankees? Right? Like, this is the thing. This organization is about these moments. And Aaron Judge, through about like 6+ postseasons, has yet to have that kind of defining moment. And I think, without trying to be Nostradamus again, we did this with Pete Alonso. Was it last week or the week before, where I was just saying, I quoted Reggie Jackson, if you have a bat in your hand, it means you could change the storyline. Well, Aaron Judge is going to have a bat in the hands for at least another 8 plate appearances over the next 2 days. And I'm sure the Yankees feel like they hope it's a couple of dozen before the beginning of November. He's got to change the narrative. They can't win without it. He is their best player. He is the guy who has carried them through lulls and has made the highs higher. We see they are terrible at manufacturing runs. They played against a team that's better
Yeah.
at manufacturing runs in the Royals. They could run. They put the ball in play a little better than the Yankees do. It's not the Yankees' game. The Yankees are 2 for 20 again with men on base. They've got to get the ball out of the ballpark. They didn't really in these first two games. Glaber hit a classic Yankee Stadium homer. Nope, that's the rules. MJ Melendez hit a classic Yankee Stadium home run, and Jazz Chisholm hit a homer to kind of make it look closer late in the game. Aaron Judge has got to be Aaron Judge at some point. Derek Jeter was close to who he was as a regular season player in the postseason. Rivera was even better. Bernie Williams was great. And then even the guys who struggle. Tino Martinez did a lot of postseason struggling. He had like 2 or 3 signature moments in their dynastic run.
Alex Rodriguez struggled in the postseason until he had his big moments.
Right,
In the
but
09.
the problem is that he is starting to resemble that early portion of A-Rod. He's
Right.
starting to resemble the one time Dave Winfield made the postseason as a Yankee. And that's not the sentences you want to be in. Aaron Judge is a great historic player, but the way to go from great historic to legendary is about this time. It's not about April to September. I get it. April to September, he's about to win his second AL MVP. He's been in the top 4 2 other times. He is a great player, but they cannot win without him being a great player now.
100%, Joel. It's what we've been talking about all season long with Aaron Judge is, while it's so bit, and you point out great points about he's had an incredible year. He's one of the best historic regular season players. We put together one of the best offensive seasons we've ever seen. And it's just a matter right now of what this comes down to. These next 3 games, it's a best of 3. You're fighting for your life here. And all the pressure is going to keep mounting on you when you come up to these big situations with men getting on base in front of you. And can you come through with just getting that ball in play, whether it's a productive out or even if it's a base hit? It doesn't have to be a home run. Just advance the run or something here, because it's becoming a dead out now. It's just becoming a strikeout and an empty 0 there where it's nothing productive's happening there.
Brian, the Yankees bat first tomorrow night.
Yeah.
The difference between something big happening in that top of the first and 1, 2, 3 feels significant, right? Like at this moment. And I just, again, this ends up feeling like a beat up Aaron Judge thing. He's a great player, but the leap from great to legendary for this organization in specific is about taking Bobby Jones deep on the first pitch of the World Series, and he's got to have a moment or two probably in each round. I get it. The pitching is tougher this time of year, but Aaron Boone, after the game yesterday, when he was doing the incredulous thing, was talking about 2 walks and an infield single as if we were talking about John Birdie. Like, this is Aaron Judge. There's got to be more than 2 walks and an infield single, especially with runners in scoring position, and especially in moments where it's step on the throat time.
100%. Could not agree more with you, Joel. And that's the Aaron Judge aspect. And that's going to be talked about, like I said, a lot these next 3 games. The other things I want to hit on, though, is the Aaron Boone aspect, how he's managed these first 2 games as well. Quick trigger on Carlos Rodon. People were like, oh, maybe you should. They had 4 shutout innings, 5 shutout innings after that. And, I know Ian Hamilton comes in and gives up that first hit, which is a run that's credited to Carlos Rodon. I thought that was a good moment by Aaron Boone, pulling that trigger quick, seeing that Rodon really didn't have it at that point and got to get him out. The bullpen kept him in the game, but they just couldn't come through with those clutch hits. Did you think that was the right moment for him to pull Carlos Rodon in that situation?
I did. Like, to me, if you're asking about leadership management, who is the guy who should have gone up to Carlos Rodon and said, what are you doing, man? In the first, we're going to play 9 today, right? Like, you're setting, this is the guy who's like taunting the other sideline in the NFL when there's like Pat Mahomes is on the other sideline. There's still 3.5 quarters to play. Like, there's a lot of game left. So you struck out the side in the first inning and you're acting like you're acting there. Now, I don't know. Is he trying to psych himself up? Is he trying to have a viral moment? But he ran out of both physical and emotional energy. He threw a strike to the first 10 batters. He got ahead 0-2 on half of them, on 5 of them. He was like in a dominant position. Then he got to the 4th inning, and Sal Perez, who owns him, got up. He fell behind 2-0, threw a cookie, And it was like Mike Tyson getting hit by Buster Douglas, which was like, oh, they're allowed to hit back, huh? And he was never the same. That started a streak from there until the end. He threw ball 1 to the last 8 hitters he faced. He was constantly behind. He became a thrower, not a pitcher again. He did not have that ability as a veteran. By the way, the kid is pitching for the other team. Cole Reagans is pitching for the other team. Do you have the ability? Take a deep breath. Nope. I'm going to say what I've said on this show for a long time. He's A.J. Rodon. He's A.J. Burnett's lefty doppelganger. Burnett was the kind of guy you would watch pitch and say, God, he's got great stuff. And then you'd look up at the scoreboard at the end of the game and go, he gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. He had great stuff today. That felt like Rodon, yes. He had great stuff, and he gave up 4 runs in 3 2/3 innings. And it's because the inability to manage innings, manage yourself, control your emotions. I just think that this is a bad look for where is the manager? Where is the pitching coach? Where's Garrett Cole to say, hey, you're blowing, you're a marathoner who just ran the first 2 miles as fast as you can. But, there's 24 left. And I just feel like, I mean, even watching it in real time, I was like, this is not, you're navigating the lineup for the first time. You got to go through it at least one more. And I just think it was a bad look. And I think it was a bad look for the leadership of the team. It's a young catcher. It's okay for Jose Trevino to walk over to Carlos Rodon and say, deep breath, man. We got a long way from here to heaven. It's okay for Garrett Cole to do it. It's okay for the pitching coach to do it. It's okay for Aaron Judge to do it. It's okay for Aaron Boone to do it. Did anyone do it? Doesn't feel like it. And I don't get it. I don't get it, And, so now will be the young starter in game 3, a guy who, by the way, I do believe in his innards. And I'll just go back to the other thing. Would you rather have Nestor Cortez starting game 2 or Carlos Rodon? Gone through this a lot on this show, as you know, Ryan. Whatever happened last night, I know Nestor Cortez wouldn't have been gotten sped up. He wouldn't have lost his mind. He wouldn't have lost his concentration. He doesn't have the stuff of Rodon, but he has the right stuff.
And it felt like that moment right there, Joel, that, Rodon kind of was playing to the crowd maybe. You wouldn't hear it on TBS because they play the crowd noise really down, but Bronx was rocking the first 2 games of this series.
I was at game 1, yeah.
So, and, the broadcast played those levels down. But at the end of the day, I think Rodon was kind of playing to the crowd. I think he bought way too much into the moment, to your point, and it kind of ate him up there at the end where he did lose gas, and he became a fastball slider pitcher only, and he fell behind on those guys that you pointed out, and it just started to unravel from there. That's the Rodon
great
aspect.
Lefties in the history of this organization, Guidry, Pettit, Ford, were guys who pulled their cap down low, concentrated on the moment, and were great. Like, we keep talking about trying to recapture something from their past. That's their past. Guys who did not let the moment be bigger than them. Nestor Cortez would not have let the moment be bigger than him. And I suspect no matter what happens tomorrow night, the moment won't be bigger than Clarke Schmidt. That's a confident kid. I think I would give him the ball in game 3. We were doing this. That's the guy I would have given the ball in game 3 too, because I actually think he is not going to let the moment be big. He might give up 7 runs, but I think that will be about stuff and that kind of things. But I think he's a tough kid. This is a veteran pitcher in Rodon. And after a season where he did a lot to vanquish some of the real concerns that were raised in season 1, in the postseason, in the biggest start he's had as a Yankee, he regressed to being over-emotional, thrower, not being able to take a deep breath and manage an inning in a game. And it was a huge factor in them not winning game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like CC Sabathia pitched with emotion, but I feel like even he had those moments where he knew when the moment was to show that emotion.
Execute like CC, yes, was an emotional guy, but in the moment of, first of all, the self-confidence was off the charts. Like, CC truly believed at his height he was better than you. And he was so competitive. He's like, great, we're playing a game for everything. I need to be the guy out here. Did you ever have a question, even at his worst, at the end, you knew that guy would just die on the mound trying to win a game. And, like that was the Andy Pettitte model. That's the David Cohn model. And I understand that these are talented borderline Hall of Famers, but Rodon's isn't without talent.
Mm-hmm.
Arm talent wise, it's more arm talent than Andy Pettitte. The question is, at those moments, can you channel and use, feistiness to your advantage? You want to strike out the third guy and pump it up off the mound? Great. You're going to the dugout and going to sit for 12 minutes. But every strikeout in the first inning, as if Vince McMahon's going to come walking down the aisle and give you a belt? What is going on there?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I was fired up at first, and then, like you said, as you see it unravel, it's kind of oh, that was kind of messed up what you did there in the first inning. It didn't work out so well for you.
It's a long way to heaven, man.
Yeah.
Every 9 innings, this whole month, it's you want to blow it all in inning 1 of your first start in the postseason as a Yankee. It didn't feel mature. It didn't feel like a guy ready for the understanding the impact and implications of everything. And therefore, people who do know it, Cole, Trevino, Blake, Boone, Judge, that somebody didn't say,
calm down. we got a ways to go.
We still have 24 outs to go in a 0-0 game.
It's fair enough. Joel, there's other aspects in game 1 that I think we need to hit on as well. The Volpe defensive play at the miscue that almost bit them in the ass. I thought that was an interesting moment there, because we've talked about this with this team infield defense wise. It's not the greatest. I thought that was a moment that could have cost them big time there. Jazz, I thought, made an interesting play cutting off Volpe there to get Bobby Witt, made that throw. That was an interesting moment. And then there was other things with defensively for this Yankee squad. You had the Verdugo great catch in left field. He gets a start in game 1. He gets a start in game 2 against the lefty. I think he's having better at bats in these first 2 games. Who would have thought? And then there was also the moments where last night, I know I'm going all over the place, but last night you had Birdie late in the game. They don't pinch hit him against the righty, so he gets the base hit, but I thought that was interesting not to pinch hit for him as well, and he gets his first baseman start ever in game 2. What did you make of all these things that were going on in these 2 games?
Yeah, so I thought game 1, their outfield played their best defensive game of the year. I thought Judge's play on Witt in the first inning, Soto throwing out Perez, and Verdugo made 2 terrific plays. The play coming into slide and the play off the wall where he held the runner to just a single, I thought were all big plays. The thing that, I wonder if you noticed this about Volpe. Volpe's become like a goalie who's flops all the time in hockey. He's just down on the ground a lot. He's always sliding now, on his knee to do it. And he's very athletic, and on tough plays that works. I just wonder, is he down on the ground too much? Why isn't he just playing these balls naturally on his feet? Just on Verdugo, and again, the ability to understand what the game needs. Verdugo comes up with, I believe, 1 out in the 9th inning, and the count is 2-0 after Chisholm is homered. Why are you swinging? You're down 2 runs. Ursak might walk you. The one thing you got to do is turn the lineup over. What are you doing? And then again, it goes to leadership. Where are the hitting coaches? What is the philosophy? I know the game has changed. It used to be, if you're down more than 1 run, take a strike in a late inning, especially the 9th inning, to give yourself a chance to get a tying or winning run to the plate. But you've got an inexperienced closer who's just given up a bomb. Yankee Stadium is a beast and alive again. Let him walk you, or at least let him get to a strike. You're going to probably get the same pitch 2-1 that you just got 2-0. Why are you swinging? Why do the Yankees continue to play a brand of baseball that is not smart? Where is the leadership? Does somebody have to say, hey, man, the most important thing that can happen this inning is that Gleyber, Torres, Soto, and Judge have some chance to change this game? That's it. Like, if we get there, it means at least the tying run is on base. Maybe the winning run. Why are you swinging 2-0?
It was an interesting. I thought the same thing last night too. When after that Jazz home run, I did think that was kind of interesting for Verdugo because he
Well,
was
it's not
putting.
interesting. It's losing baseball.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Is look, that's an interesting thing they put on the scoreboard. That's losing baseball, and we have spent all these months of the season talking about the incremental losing behavior of somehow the team with the best record in the American League. Now, who knows? Like, Verdugo might have grounded out on the 2-1 pitch, but he didn't give him like the ability. Take a deep breath. What is the situation? Oh, we just got a bomb. If I hit a bomb, it's still only 4-3. The guy on the mound is in his first playoff series ever. There's 50,000 people here going crazy. It's 2-0. I'm the 8th place hitter. We're not that far away from heaven, which is the top of the lineup. What was the preview? I said the preview to the series is Judge and Soto have to bat 5 times a game. They had only batted 4 times in this game. So can we spin this lineup around and take this, like, we've been losing like 4-1 all game. It's now 4-2. This could be our shot. How come he isn't told to take a strike? How come he doesn't know to take a strike? Ryan, it is losing baseball. They might overcome it with their talent because they are so talented, top-heavy talent. If the top talent plays, if Cole pitches great in Game 4 and Judge hits a couple of bombs and Soto and Stanton wakes up, the whole thing, they might win the 11 games necessary to get a parade. But they force themselves to overcome stuff. Look, I get it. Jazz Chisholm is an inexperienced third baseman. Really? Like, you're an experienced baseball player. If you're not moving on a play, you're not doing something right. And you're standing still. You're not in cutoff position. Earlier in the game, the trail runner moves up because of it. It leads to another run. By the way, then it would have made sense for Verdugo to potentially swing, right? Because now it's just a 3-2 game maybe in the ninth. Anyway, my theme all year. They are the greatest gifter of 90 feet in the sport, and their talent constantly has to overcome their baseball acumen. And that, I just don't know why they can't have it all. These are not inexperienced. Alex Verdugo is not an inexperienced player. Jazz Chisholm is not an inexperienced player. Carlos Rodon is not an inexperienced player. These are experienced players. And the mental miscues, like Volpe, like trying to do too much, probably should have came under control and just tried to get the force out.
Correct.
I get it. But that is closer to a physical error of a guy trying to save his pitcher, like, oh, man, I'm going to try to get 2. I think it was a mistake, but not to the level of not being in cutoff position, not to the level of swinging 2-0 when you're down 2 runs and the big boys are behind you. You're hitting 8th for a reason, Alex Verdugo. You're not a big boy. Draw a walk there. At least make him throw a strike. And I think it's the story of it's the story of their season.
Yeah.
They are the most talented team in the American League and the greatest gifter of 90 feet in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got plenty of examples of that from Game 1, and even in Game 2 of just these moments where you're going, what are we doing? What is the thought process here? And it makes you question it. The other things that I wanted to point out to you is they did decide before the ALDS that Stroman wouldn't make the roster. I thought Ben Rice he's not seen any opportunities here in the first 2 games. Was that a mistake to put him on this roster, considering you could have had another pitcher in Stroman as a bullpen pitcher?
But with the number of off days, here's the thing. The Stroman you saw over the last 6 to 7 weeks of the season, would you actually want him in the game?
No, not at all.
I mean, if he's in the game, you're up 10-1 or down 10-1. And the fact is, in the most bizarre thing you're ever going to see is they had 5 days off, played, day off, played, day off, play, day off. So, like, if you can't get through a series with 11 pitchers or 12 pitchers in that situation, I mean, you know, you know what? And they have Hill to pitch long if they need to. And I think they feel most of their relievers could give them 4 to 6 outs in a big spot. But it might just be that it's this time of year in general, Ryan, which is one of the reasons I have always believed Buck Showalter has been saying the same thing for 30 years, which is he wishes the playoffs were played like the regular season where you play every day. Because we decide over 162 games who's the best team because they also have a good fourth starter and fifth starter, and their bullpen is long and their bench is good. And then we could get to a point in the postseason where we're down to about a 16 or 17 man team. Now, more than that these days because so many relievers are used.
Mm-hmm.
But like, like I just don't think you need I don't think you need Stroman. I can't imagine short of the 15th inning when you'd want Stroman in the game.
Right. The reason, again, I hear you on the Stroman part. The question is for Ben Rice. You don't use him as a pinch hitter last night when he could have gone to the lefty. You don't use him as a defensive replacement in game one for Oswaldo late in the game. It's just a question of was he really necessary to make the roster at this point?
Is he a better defender than Oswaldo Cabrera?
Again, this is a guy who hasn't played first base much. I mean, are you saying we should trust Oswaldo and John Birdie, who's never played first base before?
Them. But I just think Oswaldo is fearless and has a high baseball IQ. I'll live with the implications of him playing over Ben Rice.
Okay, fair enough. Joel, let's move over to Do Up. I wanted to rank these three players in terms of which you had most concern thus far in the playoffs: Judge, Cole, and Stanton. We haven't hit much on Stanton. I know you hinted at the beginning of the show, but out of those three players, if you were to rank most concerned to least concerned from what you've seen so far in the first two games, how are you ranking those three?
Yeah, I think it's Judge 1, 2, and 3. I maybe it's silly of me. I fully expect that Cole will come back and pitch well in his next start. That there's probably something to be said for, getting thrown out of his normal rhythm. I kind of believe in, he's been a good postseason pitcher in general. So I just think that he'll probably be good. This is the reality of Stanton.
Well, the reason I asked for Stanton is because is there a thought that you think maybe he should be maybe you should DH Jason Dominguez over him because he brings speed, he brings an element that you don't have with Stanton. Yeah. I understand Stanton. You're playing him for his playoff history, right? And he's the guy you paid to be your full-time DH.
Yeah.
But when he is not doing anything offensively and he's just becoming outs on the base path, you're losing.
He drove in one of the 2 runs last night in a game that they lost. He's been on the base a little. The problem is when he's on the bases, he's the only guy. Like, he got to third base the other day, and I said, well, now he's only 2 hits away from scoring. It's just the reality of he truly believes, and the organization truly believes, that even if he has an upper gear, and I don't know if he has an upper gear anymore, he will break down.
Right.
Now, what I find fascinating is he hasn't tried that upper gear in the division series. If they get to the LCS and they absolutely need a run, would he go to the upper gear?
No.
Say they got to the World Series. Say that it was Game 7. Like, at what point would he break out I'm still a professional athlete and I'm going to try to run as hard as I can because the game means so much? I just think the guy's had so many lower body injuries, and they're sticking to a philosophy of the most important thing you could do is swing, not run, and we'll deal with we're going to treat you like a slow-footed catcher, and you're not going to get the bases. It's a terrible look. It's a terrible look.
Right. Like,
because I think the thing that bothers me about the look is and maybe this is part of it also. They've told him the starts and stops are no good. He's constantly downshifting, which is, I think there's often these times where even if he ran the way he's running when he's on the bases, if he just kept going, he could get an extra base or score. But he's always looking to stop.
Right.
Not go.
It feels like he's in his head, this downshift, to your point, and slow down a little bit.
Yes.
I think that the other thing, though, is I'm used to Stanton running like this. I've seen it now for years because of the way he's broken down and he's tried to adjust himself and how he runs. I'm used to that. I'm just asking, though, is there more potential here for getting runs across? Because you need to scratch them off right now. You need to scratch across runs and you try to make him
No,
as any way possible.
I would stick with Stanton.
Even
Like,
versus righty and Lugo, you wouldn't want the extra lefty bat in Dominguez. He's a switch hitter as well. He's speed on the bases. He can get on base. I mean, I'm just asking, like, is there an opportunity there?
I think the Yankees are, for better or worse, a get the ball out of the stadium team, not a create a run team. Like what they did in game one, where the chorus created a couple of runs, that felt very different for them.
Right. It felt like, oh my God, could we see more of this?
Yeah. Well, we didn't see more of it in game two.
No.
It was more than just Judge. And ultimately, they're a get the ball out of the stadium team. They are what they are. You know, like, you know, I'm trying to think. It's, you know, I'm trying to think of somebody who's like a classic rock guy, and you're like, he's probably not going to sing opera tonight, you know? And it's just, this is who they are. They got to get the ball out of the stadium. They have 2 homers in 2 games. Both, I believe, well, Torres was a 2-run homer, right?
Torres was a 2-run homer.
And Jazz was a thing. They're big guys. So Soto, Stanton, and Judge have to deliver meaning. Extra base meaning, preferably for them, home runs. And that's who they're tied to. And I wouldn't make too much I wouldn't expect too much out of Dominguez either. You know, it's not like, oh, I feel, you know, he hasn't played a ton. It would be pushing him out into the limelight. You know, look, he had a shot. We're talking about last night. If you're going to pinch hit for Birdie, would you pinch hit Dominguez or Rice?
That's what I was thinking.
Like, the fact is, you didn't pinch hit either of them. And I think the manager was making a statement, maybe a little about Birdie, who had great at-bats last night, by the way. But Birdie, like, here's the problem is Birdie was the best player on the Yankees last night.
Yeah, he smacked the shit out of the ball last night. I just think he hit him at players.
And played terrific on defense.
Yeah.
At a new position. And so the 2024 New York Yankees are not designed to have John Birdie as their best player.
That's the good point. I think that's the way we should summarize this episode.
Yep.
That's what I got for that. I mean, next thing I want to talk about is off the plate. Jazz Chisholm's comments last night. He spoke about how he felt the series after the loss last night, and he said, "We're gonna win it. We had a lot of missed opportunities tonight. The Royals just got lucky." Joel, I am calling bullshit on that right there from Jazz. I don't think the Royals got lucky. I think they outplayed you. They play better baseball. We've talked about this. Who's the better team? The Royals look like the better team right now than the Yankees.
Well, since Jazz Chisholm was thrown out at second base in game one, I think the team that is lucky right now is the Yankees.
That's a fair point.
I think you can make a much easier case that the Royals should be up 2-0 than the Yankees should be up 2-0.
Could you imagine if that was it right now? 2-0. I'd be crying.
They've been let down by their moneyed guys. You know, Cole's the second highest paid pitcher ever. He's the highest paid pitcher in Yankee history. Judge is the highest paid guy in Yankee history. Stanton, Soto, Rodon. Like, those 5 guys alone make way more than the Royals.
So wake the fuck up and let's go. Get going, boys. Start going. That's what we want.
I think the Yankees are staying in town that way if you want to go to their hotel.
It's just it's infuriating to watch
because they're not.
If I'm going to see this team go down again because the big guys can't produce, I am going to lose it. Yeah. I'm on the brink.
Yeah, I could feel you, man. Like, look, I in some ways, if this is what happens, I'm wondering if the lead to the column should be rinse, repeat. You know, like, I've seen this movie, and then they'll tell me at the end they didn't hit enough homers. And they'll talk about change. They'll make none, and they'll line up this way the next season. But look, or they might be in the route to winning 11 postseason games and ending up in the Canyon of Heroes, and you're going to be going crazy in a different way, standing not far from where I live.
I sure as hell hope so, Joe.
Because look, another way to look at this, Ryan, is all 4 series are 1 game apiece as we're talking. Right, so every top seed has lost a game in the first 2 games. Think about, like, the Dodgers. We're talking about Judge. Mookie Betts is 0 for his last 22 in the postseason. Mookie Betts, great player. He's 0 for 22. Freeman's hurt. They're hoping Walker Buehler and Landon Knack on the road could help save their season. And, you know, look, they've
but
won.
Shohei Ohtani hit a fucking bomb the game 1, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the big name players like Machado showed up for the Padres.
But Betts didn't show. Betts hasn't shown up in a multiple playoff series now for the Dodgers over multiple years. He has really not shown up, and I think Mookie Betts is a spectacular, great Hall of Fame level player. It's the difference is some Bryce Harpers show up and some Mookie Betts don't, or Aaron Judges don't. We're on that scale. I do believe this, Ryan, because you mentioned A-Rod earlier, and he's a tough comparison because who knows what was in his body in 2009 to help his performance. But if you give a great player enough chances, eventually they'll get you. Barry Bonds was bad in the postseason until he got to 0-2, and he almost won the World Series single-handedly for the Giants in 0-2 against the Angels. And he had been very bad in the postseason before that. Judge is a great player. I think he's played 45 games in the postseason now. I wouldn't be surprised if game 46 is a 2-homer tour de force, that it's coming because he's just too good if you give him enough chances. But they're also 2 games away from being eliminated.
Yep.
And this isn't April. It's October. And you can't – it's not a work through problems time of year. And yet I go back to our show a week ago where it felt like Pete Alonso was literally going to play his entire walk year, the regular season and the postseason, without ever really having a big moment. And then literally at what could have been the final moment, and out in the 9th inning, he's already dropped the pop-up. He's played terribly. He hits a 3-run homer and gets him through to the next round. And so if you told me that Judge hit a 3-run homer over the next couple of days to get the Yankees to the next round, of course he's Aaron Judge. I just feel like enough opportunity, he'll probably do it. And I'm sure that's what Aaron Boone means when he does the incredulous, like, oh, you're questioning Aaron Judge. Yeah, we're questioning Aaron Judge because it's not a 162-game season anymore. And by the way, it's not one October. He's had a lot of bad Octobers now. And he's got, for all the talent they jam onto the roster, they go the way of Judge. When he's going great, they're usually great. When he's not going well, they have a lot of trouble scoring runs.
Is he too streaky of a player for you, Joel? You think, and that's what's contributing to this playoff thing?
I mean, he is a streaky player. Most players are streaky. There's very few players that are metronomes who are good every day. The problem is when he's streaky, he's not grounding out, he's striking out. And it looks bad, right? It looks like dropping a pass or, shooting an air ball in a big spot. And so it looks bad with runners in scoring position, especially. We talk about streaky. I mean, his streak lasted about 2 months this year, 3 months, where he had like a 1,300 OPS for 3 months.
He's insane.
So it didn't feel during the season streaky, but, the bad pitchers are gone. The concentration level and the scouting data is more precise at this time of year. Holes are really feasted upon, and Judge needs moments. Doesn't have to have, I'm not talking about hitting 330 in a series. I'm talking about the big moment changing the arc of a game. And, the grand slam he hit late in the season. He's got to change the arc of a game or two here. They can't, the Yankees aren't built about beating the Royals, though, of course, they better beat the Royals. Otherwise, can you imagine next week's show what that's going to look like?
It's going to be a mess.
They've got to beat the Royals, but they're designed to win multiple rounds and try to win a championship. And it's so redundant. I'm sorry, Ryan. I just don't see how they do that without Judge having 2, 3, 4 moments where you're just like, oh, he's like the best hitter in the world.
Yeah, I agree, Joel. Let's bring in our guy, Tommy Hogan, for some Hoganalytics stats. Tommy, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Before I get into it, I did want to ask you a question, Joel. I'm surprised that you had, or maybe you didn't, a bigger issue with Verdugo swinging 2-0 than Glaber swinging first pitch after the birdie single.
Well, I think I actually talked about it this morning with some people. I think what Glaber is thinking is, I've been very patient this series. I got Soto and Judge behind me. I bet you he's going to throw me a first pitch fastball here, and I'm going to try to ambush.
Isn't that sort of the same mentality, I guess, that Verdugo had 2-0?
Because now a homer ties the game.
Right, but You just need a base runner. Verdugo just needs to get on base.
No, you could use a home run, ties the game.
No. Verdugo. I'm going back to the Verdugo at bat here.
Right. Verdugo's a bad at bat because if he hits a homer, you're still behind. Gleyber, think about the whole, Tommy, it's a narrative. Think about the whole series. Gleyber has had by far their most patient at bats in this series. He's got arguably the two best hitters in the American League sitting behind him. I'm sure what he's thinking, and probably what Ursig is thinking, is I can't walk him because then Soto is the winning run. And I think Torres is thinking that's an ambush moment. I had zero problems with it. You don't like the result, but I actually love the thought process.
But it was also a terrible pitch to swing. Like it was, he must.
Right, but I understand the thought process,
okay,
which is he got out of his game and didn't swing at the best pitch because he thinks he's going to get a 0-0 cookie to get ahead, because what he has shown the Royals up to now is I am going to work the count. And I think he was trying to use what he had done against them and also who was on deck against them. So I had zero problems. I like the thought process. What you don't like if you're a Yankee fan was the end result. But that is a wholly different at bat than Alex Verdugo swinging 2-0. First of all, it's already 2-0.
Right.
And you're down 2 runs and there's nobody on base. And the guy behind you just hit the ball 400 feet to get a run. This guy might be shaken up on the mound. Like, give him a chance to walk you.
If I could try to see if I can make you understand or help, see if I can explain the Verdugo thought process a little bit. See if I can get you to maybe like it. If I can try to convince you. 2-0. You don't want to go 3-0 because you don't want to walk and bring the tying run to the plate. So aren't you closer to getting on base, swinging 2-0 because you're probably getting a strike than you are to taking it if that's a strike? Like you're 3-0 and you're a pitch away there. Whereas in this case, he doesn't want to go 3-0 to make you a pitch away from getting on base. So you're probably getting a strike and you're 1 pitch away in that situation. Whereas you're really, if you take it, you're 2 pitches away.
You'll never make me see swinging there as a thing because, first of all, what we don't know is Ursig unplugged and unhinged a little bit, and you're not giving him a chance to throw the ball there, right?
Couldn't he have been late for that after
you're
giving
just
single to Birdie?
suggesting that Alex Verdugo, is a good enough hitter to just say, I'm going to have this little zone, and if he comes in here at 2-0, I'm going to do damage. I think you're going to get the same pitch at 2-1 as you did at 2-0, and you've got to give yourself a chance to draw a walk. It's Alex fucking Verdugo.
He's in the best at bats of the series.
He's a 240. Here's the thing, Tommy. I'll give you the point. If he hits a home run, this game is 4-3.
That's what I'm saying. He just has to get on base there. But
right. So take a pitch. I'm going to use what you just said. He just has to get on base. He has a chance if he watches that pitch for it to be 3-0. The worst that will happen is it's 2-1, and he will get the same exact pitch again.
Okay. Maybe. Okay.
Tommy, the closer did just give up a home run to Jazz Chisholm at that point.
He just gave up a single to John Birdie. And Gleyber swinging first pitch when he's got Juan Soto and Aaron Judge after him. Like everybody in the building wanted Juan Soto and Aaron Judge to get in that bat there. I understand Gleyber's been good, but everybody in the building just wanted Gleyber.
But do you understand what the Gleyber
first pitch, on his wrist, ground ball to shortstop?
The Gleyber thought process. You don't like the end result, but the Gleyber thought process is I am trying to get my best chance to get on base is an ambush. Right here, I'm going to get a cookie at 0-0. Because I've been patient, right? Has he been the most patient hitter in the lineup?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're the pitcher and you're facing the most patient hitter through 2 games, and Soto and Judge are standing on deck, Soto would be the winning run if the at-bat gets to him. Wouldn't you think, if you're the hitter, what I'm about to get is a 0-0 fastball, and my best chance to get on base in this situation at 0-0 is to ambush this, because Gleyber Torres is a far better hitter than Alex Verdugo.
Agreed.
And he is in a completely different situation than Verdugo, which is Verdugo follows the home run. You don't know anything about Lucas Ursig. in this kind of situation, following a homer, like maybe he's about to walk the ballpark. Let me give him a chance to do that. At the worst, it's going to be 2-1. If I hit a homer, it's still only 4-3. Let me give myself the best chance to get on base. Verdugo did not give himself the best chance to get on base. Gleyber Torres, as the potential tying run, was seeing if he could ambush there, which gives him a shot at A, tying the game, and B, a chance to get on base. I thought it was such a good thought process. It was a result that you don't like. So you're taking the result and saying, I don't like the process. But the process is, Tommy, if I would have sat with you before the pitch and I said, what do you think Lucas Ursig is throwing here in what place in the strike zone? He is clearly going to throw a strike with his fastball, right? Like we both would have said that.
But should Gleyber have been sitting on a location rather than just a pitch? Like he was sitting fastball, he got the fastball and swung at it, but he was also swinging at a spot in the plate.
Aggressive on a good philosophy.
I guess the other part of if I to argue it a little bit more, Gleyber.
Let's not, but okay, go ahead.
This is why it's fun.
No Hoganalytics then this week.
All right, no, I won't argue with them. Fine, I won't argue with them because I think Hoganalytics is good. So I won't argue.
Humbly, you'll say that it's good. Go ahead.
All right, yes, exactly. So Clarke Schmidt, first time through a lineup this season, had a 610 OPS against. Second time through, 630 OPS against. His third time through, it was 937. I wonder if another one of Boone's decisions that was interesting yesterday was that he went to Luke Weaver for the final out in the ninth inning to get Bobby Witt down 4-1. The only two relievers left in the bullpen were Luke Weaver and Luis Gil. Did he tip his hand a little bit there, Joel? And we're going to see Clarke Schmidt for 18 batters, however many outs that gets him, and we're going to see a piggyback in Game 3 because he was trying to save Luis Gil for that?
No.
No? Why is that?
I think he was trying to the best way to preserve being within 3 runs was to bring Luke Weaver into the game.
But you also give the best hitter on the Royals an extra look at your best reliever.
Yes, but they did get the tying run to the plate. These games are series unto themselves. You got to take every shot to win the game. And who was the batter? Who did Weaver face?
It was Bobby Witt.
Right. You've got to take a shot to win the game. Like to me, this wasn't a Luke. It wasn't a Heel or Weaver thing. It was a Mazer or Weaver thing. You weren't going to. I assume Heel would have had to warm up for almost the entire inning to come in. Now, is Heel in play tomorrow? I assume Heel is in play tomorrow as a long reliever if Schmidt is going badly. But if Schmidt gets around the lineup twice and gives them 5 or 6 innings, he is going to go stacked with his best relievers.
Okay, I thought it was interesting that you're giving, you're down 4-1, and you're giving.
But Tommy, you can't throw away a playoff game.
But you're giving the best hitter on the Royals another look at your best reliever. In the biggest spot, it's now twice that he has seen Luke Weaver in a spot that you really need it.
What would you have done there? Would you have just left Meza in?
I would have, yeah.
All right. You must keep that game 4-1 and give yourself a shot in the bottom of the ninth. These are playoff games.
Okay.
Look at what like Detroit did yesterday. Look at what the Mets have done 3 times in a week. You've got to give. This isn't in June. I agree with you, but you can't just concede a playoff game and say my 11th pitcher on my staff or my 12th pitcher on the staff. I'm going to let him face Bobby Witt with a chance to turn this into a 5 or 6-1 game. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to take a shot at keeping it 4-1. And by the way, assuring that I get Ursig into the game so all my guys get another chance to see him, which you're leaving out of this equation as well.
Well, we're also Tim Meza could have got Bobby Witt out.
He could have. But the best chance to keep that game 4-1 was to bring Luke Weaver in. And don't ignore that there's a day off today, and he's probably planning to use Luke Weaver in all 5 games. So everyone's going to get a lot of shot to see it.
No, I get it. It's not, you're not costing him Game 3. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was weird. I didn't see that coming to bring.
I mean, you and I don't agree on anything.
I guess so. That's what we're here for, though, Joel. What would the show be if you just said, "Yep, I agree.
No. It's America. It's a great place. Everyone gets an opportunity to have their thoughts.
Yes, exactly.
To be fair, the Yankees have held Bobby Witt in check in this series thus far, and
Yes,
no matter what, you want to get him out. That's the guy you do not want to get beat by.
yeah, and look, probably before the game, if I would have told you in a Carlos Rodon start, however you got there, the Yankees are giving up 4 runs today. Are you okay with that? You might have said, God, I'd feel so much more comfortable if it was 3, but okay. Like at 7:00 last night, I said, the Yankees are going to, however they get there in this game, they're giving up 4 runs. You okay with that? You probably would have said, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like however they pieced it together, it worked in that way.
Tommy, thank you, man.
Yeah.
All right, Joel, let's bring us all home for Joel's notebook. You are in Kansas City. You're going to be there for game 3 and 4. Kauffman Stadium. What do you got for me? You got any good stories for me?
Last time I was here, so I was here for the 15 World Series, Mets and Royals, and then the Mets opened here the following year. They went from, I had a crazy spring that year. I was in Tampa, Port St. Lucie, Cuba, Arizona. There was a baseball game in Cuba. The Rays played 2 games there. Cuba, Arizona, Las Vegas. The Mets finished in Las Vegas, and then Kansas City. Got a lot of frequent flyer miles. That was the crazy one where they came up with some crazy urinary tract thing for Matt Harvey not being ready at the beginning of the season. But you know what my strongest memory of this place is? And this is way back. I want to say it was my first year. It was either 89 or 90, one of my first years covering the Yankees when I was still a beat guy. And I suspect that the turf has changed. The ability to make different kind of turf over time has changed. But during daytime here in summer, man, it is so fucking hot, right? And they had that turf that, like, remember players would put like stuff in their shoes to try to calm it down. They would wear is it cabbage leaves cool you down and wraps and stuff. There were Yankee players, I think, led by Mel Hall, who were cooking eggs on the turf during the game. They're opening up, cracking the eggs and putting them down on the turf and cooking them. That's when the Yankees were very bad, and they were amusing but bad.
Well, thank God it's not that hot now in Kansas City, man.
No, it's. But I was just before I did the show, I landed, went to get a cup of coffee, and I came up to do the show. It's actually a beautiful day here today.
Yeah,
I wish they were playing baseball today.
Right. Joel, we appreciate you, man. We're looking forward to seeing how these next 2 games go.
I think it's look, I think it's a fascinating referendum on everything about this group, from its leadership to its talent, about how they handle the next 2 or 3 games in this series. I know the crapshoot, get it. I know all the series are tied 1-1. Get how strange bounces, crazy things. They can't lose to Kansas City Royals. They can't lose to if they do, it's the second
coach in New York that's getting fired. I'm telling you right now, because we just saw Robert Saleh get fired today.
Yeah,
Aaron Boone's next.
It feels like there has to be implication for that, because you can't. We've seen this movie before, and you could talk about the crapshoot of an individual postseason, but this is a lot of postseasons now that would feel and look similarly. And it's one thing where the Astros are as good or better than you and are eliminating you. But the inexperienced Royals, by the way, who through 2 games have gotten nothing out of their MVP. You can't, like if Garrett Hampson has a better postseason than Aaron Judge, they have to find a way to win 2 of the next 3 games. They've already caused themselves some issues. They've opened the door that they didn't want to open, like in the month, right? The Halloween month, with all their ghouls and ghosts in the past. They opened the door by losing last night. And are they going to kick that door open and let all those ghouls and ghosts in, because it's going to be a bad time for an organization that all of a sudden has big ears for hearing all the negative stuff? It's going to get ugly. They've got to figure out a way to get, by the way, through the entire American League at minimum. They got to get to the World Series. But let the first one's first. The Kansas City Royals had a losing record this year against everybody who was not the Chicago White Sox. These are the New York Yankees. These are the Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Juan Soto Yankees. Their big boys have to step up over the next few days and get them into the ALCS.
I'm hoping. Tommy's hoping. And we're looking forward to watching you cover it all, Joel. Thank you as always, man.
All right. All the best.